Good afternoon, fifth graders. This is Mr. McCrew reporting from my basement. We are going to start with our first lesson of the week for Monday, March 30th. The lesson is for Chapter 9, Section 1, and it is called Like Denominators. Now, we've worked with fractions over the past couple of years, and when it comes to adding and subtracting fractions, it's pretty simple. Now, like denominators means a fraction has two parts. It has a numerator, which is the top number, and a denominator, the bottom number. Now, of course, fractions are a part of one whole, and the denominator indicates how many parts there are in a whole. In this case, it's 4 is the denominator. To equal 1, the numerator has to be the same as the bottom number, the denominator. So 4, the numerator 4 and the denominator 4 equals 1. So it indicates when these two are the same, it equals 1. Now the bottom number, again, the denominator, is our indicator of how many parts we need to get to one whole. For example, 4 over 4, one whole, pizza. 4 parts. There are 4 parts in a whole in this pizza. Now, for this lesson, like denominators, it's basically saying when we add these fractions together, the denominator is the same. You'll find out in later sections, and what we've done before, when the denominator is different, we have to change the denominator, but that's a whole different day. But in this case, when we add or subtract denominators, if they both have the same denominator as the bottom number, in this case it is 12, all we got to do is add them. Now, we do not add the bottom number. The denominator always will stay the same. So automatically, the denominator is 12. All we do is we add the numerator, 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. Now, let's try the bottom one. We have 3 eighths plus 1 eighth. The denominator stays the same, and we add the top. Now, I've taught you guys in the past before that you have to put the fraction to its smallest form. Now, in this case, it's the same. 11 twelfths is the smallest, because to figure out your simplest form, you got to do multiples. Every number that is multiplied. So in this case, you go anything times 11, there's only one problem, that's 1 and 11. 1 times 11. For 12, it's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and then 3 and 4. And in this, it's the only number is 1 and 1. And you would have to divide it, and if you divide 1 into both of these numbers, you're going to have 11 twelfths. So 11 over 12 is the smallest. Now this bottom number is different. Let's do every multiple for 4. 1, 4, and then 2 times 2. So it's 1, 2, and 4. The 8, it is 1 and 8, and 2 and 4. So we underline every number that they have in common. It's 1 and 4. Now you take the greatest common factor, which is 4, and you divide this by 4. And thus it will get our answer. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So 4 eighths in simplest form is 1/2. So anytime you want to put something in its simplest form, you would find every multiple, so every multiplication table for that number. So for down here, I have a 24 over 32. So every number that goes into 24 is 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and then 4 times 6. For 32, it's 1 times 32, 2 times 16, and 4 times 8. I underlined every number that they both have in common, 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 4 and 4, 8 and 8. The biggest number is 8. So if you divide 24 divided by 8 and 32 divided by 8, you'd end up with 3/4 as your lowest common simplest form. Okay, so that's kind of review. But for this section, all we're really doing is as long as the denominator is the same, the bottom number, all you got to do is add or subtract the bottom number, or the top number, the numerator. So for your homework tonight, on page 215, I want you to go ahead and do 1 through 5. Or in this case, get as much. I want you to at least do 1 through 5, but get as much done as you can, because since we're not at school for me to physically see you do this, get as much done as you can. So 215 is the page you're going to be working on. If you have any questions, please either give me a phone call, text message, email, etc. So until tomorrow, have a good evening.